Hello everyone, back to today's second video. So doing a CFS 6 months look ahead for today's second video. Exactly as the name suggests, it does what it says on the tin. We're going to go 6 months ahead with the long-range CFS B2 model. It's going to take us from next month, from February, right way through into the summer. We'll go through into July 2017 with this update. Now, of course, the first couple of months, there is some scientific merit because they're only 1 or 2 months away. So yes, February, March, let's hope the model has some sort of signal correct for those months. But as we go beyond that to sort of 3, 4, 5 and 6 months away, well, that really is in the realm of being just for fun. It isn't to be relied upon. It's a snapshot for what the model is showing right now, but don't, whatever you do, take it too seriously. So I'll get on with CFS 6 months look ahead for you in a moment. Just say about what's already happened at Gazovich. So we've already had the weekend forecast. You can find videos out here on the homepage. Just scroll down page a bit and it's underneath the link. As you can also get to the written version via buttons at the top of the page. So check out weekend forecast if you would like to do that. And just say about the ads at Gazovich. So see articles on all pages. Have a browse. We wish to click through links. If there's any articles that interest you, help us pay for a website. And thanks very much for doing that. So we're going to start off with 700 millibar height anomalies for the next 6 months from CFS V2, and then we'll have a look at the corresponding temperature and precipitation anomalies that go with these heights. So we'll start off in February, just next month, and this is what model is showing in terms of the 700 millibar height anomaly for February 2017. And it's placing quite a big ridge, I have to go to this side of the chart, placing quite a big ridge to the east of the UK. And it's got a trough of low pressure out in the Atlantic centred around Greenland. So it's a rather odd looking chart. It's very anticyclonic. We've got the jet stream doing probably something like this. It's probably splitting a bit, actually, with some of the energy going to the north and some going down to the south. The mean wind flow is coming in off the continent, and it's probably doing something like that. So it's very difficult to say what the temperatures would be with that, to be honest. It's very close to being a cold chart, but really for a classic cold month, you would want the heights to be centred more in that sort of area and going over to there. And again, on this side of the chart, you want the height to be centred more there and going over towards there, which allows winds to come in from a long way north. What's actually happening there is that the coldest of the air probably going around the back of the high and down to that sort of area. So down into southeastern Europe again, I would have thought. However, it wouldn't take that much of an adjustment. It's certainly a dry signal, I think, for February. Temperatures very much to be determined, and very subtle adjustments could lead to either really quite a pleasant early spring-like month, albeit with night frost, or something very substantially and significantly colder. Now we go through to March, and on the face of it, this looks a bit better for cold conditions in March. The above average heights are moving to the north, so they're centering now between Greenland and Scandinavia up here. Trough of low pressure is in the Atlantic, and the jet stream, I would have thought, is on a bit of a southerly track there as well. I'm going to show you the temperature on me, and I'm sure it's going to be showing mild temperatures, but for the height anomaly, that looks like it should be cold to me. I think that is hinting at a colder month in March, a colder start to the spring. April looks pretty dismal. It's centering a trough of low pressure right over the top of the country. Again, you notice above average heights up to the northeast, but they are weakening there. The signal really is just that trough to be sparked over the UK, which, again, it could be a very wet month, actually, unsettled month, if that was to come off. If we was to get some heights rising around here, then you will probably start to entrench colder air down into this trough. But on the face of it, let's just say it's sort of average type temperatures, but with a signal for being quite wet in April. Month 4, we're going a long way out now, of course. We come to May, and we find above average heights centred to the northwest of the British Isles, also down to the southwest, so that's rather an odd looking chart. Let's assume these two yellow areas form one ridge. So let's assume we've got a ridge here out to west of us which with the jet stream probably doing something like that wouldn't be a very good signal actually for May. Could be a lot of dry weather, but I think temperatures could be rather on the cool side with heights centred out to the west, to say the least. And then go through to month 5, which is June. Not much to go on there in June. It's placing a little bit of a ridge around the Azores, where it typically would be. A slight trough around to south of Greenland, and probably some sort of westerly coming through, but nothing really to go at all in June. Very, very weak signal there. And then we go through to July, and it's very similar to May in some ways, excuse me, with above average heights generally centering to the west of us. And again, you probably expect the jet stream to be doing something like that. So again, probably a fairly dry signal for July, but I would have thought those temperatures could be rather on the dismal side, with the high pressure centred to the west of us, bringing the winds in from the north. Right, let's go back and have a look at the temperature. So this is the temperature anomaly for February, and it's coming out close to or slightly milder than average in February. However, you will notice that the vast majority of northern, central, western and southwestern Europe down here is coming out milder than average. So where the cold temperatures, well, they're not there yet, but I can assure you in the next 2 or 3 weeks the model will start to shift colder. And this area that's white with average temperatures down here, in a week or so, that's probably going to look cold. We'll probably have blue colours in there. All of this red, I've got a feeling it'll be toned down a lot over the coming week or two. So these models, particularly CFS V2, overdoes the temperatures a lot, and I think that will look substantially different in a week or two's time. I'll come back to it at the end of January and we'll see what it's showing. I suspect that's going to look quite a bit different. Now we go through to March, and to me, March looked like it should be a fairly cool month as well, or perhaps even a cold month. Actually, model is still going for milder than average temperatures in March. Seems whatever the scenario, CFS is always going to conjure up milder than average temperature anomaly. So again, I'm not sure that temperature anomaly, after you go through this quite a lot with CFS V2, I'm not quite sure how that temperature anomaly for March, that you see just there, ties in with that height anomaly for March. So I would suspect that March and February will be trendy cooler over the next few weeks. Not necessarily saying they're going to be cold for the UK, because particularly in February, I think that could be a signal that could either be quite a cold month, or it could actually be quite a mild spring-like month. It just depends on the exact position of that ridge. So okay, for the UK it might be milder or colder in February, or milder than that, as he's suggesting, actually, because it's not going over the top with a mild signal. But I think for much of Northern Europe, that just doesn't look quite right to me for February. So let's wait and see. And March doesn't look quite right either. Get through to April, and temperature anomalies are lowering. So the west of Europe is coming out with average temperatures. The east of Europe is coming out milder than average. So April, out of those first 3 months, looks like the coolest in terms of its anomaly to average, but still nothing particularly cold showing up there. May gets cooler still, so by that point most parts of Europe, away from Scandinavia and Western Russia, most parts of Europe are coming out just with average temperatures. I suspect that will probably be a slightly colder than average month. It is centering the ridge somewhere out here, which presumably is doing something like that with the jet stream, so I've got a feeling that will be quite a cool month in May. June looks better. There was no real height anomaly signal for June, but actually the temperature anomalies aren't too bad. They are coming out slightly milder than average. And then July, again, it's very similar to May with the pressure in July. We have the high pressure out here. So again, for July, the jet stream is doing something like that, which looks quite a cool signal. And again, in July, it is looking fairly cool. So overall, not a great start to the summer, really. June, not too bad, but May and July both looking a little bit on the coolest side, based on both the temperature anomalies and on the height anomalies as well. Finally, just have a look at precipitation, and this is how things are setting up for February. So a drier than average month, not just for the UK, but most of Europe as well. That would end the winter on a very dry note. It has been a very dry winter of 2016-17 so far in the UK, and that ends things on a dry note, as I say. So whether we will finish up with the top 10 drier than average driest winter on record, I'm not sure whether that would happen, but certainly isn't out of the question that we might have a top 10 driest winter on record, because it has been very dry up to this point when I'm doing a video in the middle of January, and this is signaling quite a dry signal into February as well. Most parts of Europe coming out dry also. Go through into March, that's also looking significantly drier than average in March. Most parts of certainly Central Europe and even into the UK coming out a bit drier than average as well. And then a flip is taking place in April, so this time we're going wetter as we get through into April. Precipitation is going above average. We've got a trough of low pressure being centred right over top of the country, somewhere around there. So the jet stream's going down here. It's a cool, wet looking month in April. May also coming out a little bit on the wetter side. Remember, in May, the ridge is out here, which leaves us doing something like that with jet stream. So fairly cool and unsettled, really, the signal for May. June, no real signal for precipitation, just as there wasn't for heights. It does look a bit better, the temperature, but overall I would suggest even in June it's not looking that good really. Notice that most of France, northern Spain, coming out a bit wetter than average, so maybe hinting at jet stream being on a little bit of a southerly track there. It's also a bit drier up here, which is probably some high pressure there. That might not do a great deal for us. And then in July, that one also looking a little bit on the wetter side, I have to say. So fairly poor start to the summer being signalled at this point by the CFS. Again, the high pressure is out there. Actually doing something like that. Now, I won't worry about that at all, because it's right at the extended part of all of this. It's at the most unreliable time frame. In fact, some might think that if CFS V2 at this point is going for a poor start to the summer, well, get the sunblock on order, because some people think that if CFS is doing one thing, then the best way of going is to assume that the opposite is going to happen. But I'm not one of those people, else I won't be using CFS V2 for this video, obviously. So we'll leave the summer alone. Coming back to the, well, supposedly more reliable time frame, the next couple of months. For February, it looks very dry, lots of high pressure dominating to end a very dry and so we'll say probably quite boring winter. Temperatures signal is milder than average, but I think it could be colder, but it's suggesting certainly for central parts of Europe. That looked way too warm for Central Europe. So let's just wait and see for February. For March, April and then into spring, it looks like we get a deterioration, so I have a lot of dry weather in March, and the height anomaly to me suggested could be quite a cold month in March. The temperature seems still above average, but I think it's overdoing it. I reckon that if the heights came off as the model predicts for March, watch out for a cold and average month. And then we go through to April, but probably quite dry. We go through to April, a flip occurs, we get a big trough parking over the country, and it turns wetter. Quite a wet signal there for April, and probably quite cool month as well. So that's how it's looking for CFS 6 months look ahead for January. We'll do it all over again next month. Don't forget to check out Weekend Forecast if you would like to do that. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.